Fallout 76 has been on quite the journey, from being a disaster at launch to now being the only Fallout game with brand new content. When the first trailer was revealed, hype for this game was at an all-time high. No one could believe that we were about to get a Fallout game from Bethesda Game Studios being built on the creation engine for an online multiplayer experience, which we thought was never possible since we never got a multiplayer Skyrim game. Bethesda then put out a beta, which quickly diminished all of that hype. A lot of people pointed out all the various different types of bugs and glitches, and I guess because it was a break it early test application beta, it was designed for you to actually catch out the bugs. However, there was a ton. It seems like everyone's fears were true. The state of the game that we had seen in the beta actually became basically what the launch game was. It was a broken, buggy mess, had lack of content, and just didn't have the polish players expected. And there was no human NPCs for players to get quests and missions from, which is basically 80% of a Fallout game. I was so hyped for this game, I actually pre-ordered the game because I wanted that helmet, which turned out to be a disaster as well, as even though I'd cancelled my pre-order, others who got the special edition and got the helmet actually had to send it back because there was some hazardous material in there. It was an absolute nightmare. I think a majority of people, including myself, expected Fallout 76 to die after that. I personally thought Bethesda would abandon the project, take it as a loss, and move on to their other single player games, but that's not what they did. They actually stuck by Fallout 76, unlike their various mobile games, and the road to redemption began. Nearly 2 years after the release of Fallout 76, it remained a state of disgrace. Community remained bitter, and many had written the game off entirely. But Bethesda didn't give up. The studio was plotting behind the scenes exactly how they can resurrect this game. And on February 4th, 2020, Bethesda revealed their first expansion, being Wastelanders. This was a free expansion that would fundamentally transform the game. It was released on April 14th, 2020, and added one human NPC, two new factions, which were the settlers who were trying to rebuild civilization and the raiders living by their own brutal rules. The expansion delivered a new main questline with meaningful choices and consequences. It included dialogue trees, a reputation system, new creatures, and fresh gear. For many players, Wastelanders wasn't just an update, but the true beginning of Fallout 76. Reviews turned positive for the first time since the reveal trailer, and the community's mood shifted from resentment to cautious optimism. The expansion also marked Fallout 76's debut on Steam, where it peaked at 32,000 concurrent players, the highest the game had seen since its catastrophic launch. This was the foundation for redemption that had been laid, and Bethesda was determined to keep building upon it. So they started building momentum and started adding seasonal content and expansions to the game. Before Wastelanders, Bethesda had already begun trying to salvage the game with the Wild Appalachia DLC, introduced new quests, crafting system, events, and centered around mystical beasts and lost scouts. They also released the Nuclear Winter expansion June 10, 2019, adding an entirely new battle royale mode that changed how players experienced the Wasteland. These updates did show Bethesda's effort, but they couldn't overcome the game's fundamental issues yet. However, after the Wastelanders' success, Bethesda introduced the Legendary Run expansion on June 30th, 2020, establishing the seasonal progression system that will become a core part of the game. Players could compete in challenges for exclusive rewards, creating ongoing engagement between major expansions. One Wasteland for All addressed a critical gameplay issue by implementing level scaling. Now players of different levels could team up and explore the entire map together, from the Toxic Valley to the Cranberry Bog, making the multiplayer experience far more accessible. Then on November 21st, 2020, the Brotherhood returned, as the Steel Dawn expansion brought one of Fallout's most iconic factions to Appalachia. The Brotherhood of Steel's arrival introduced new NPCs, quest companions, and camp shelters, which are underground spaces players could customize. The nostalgia factor was strong, though some felt the questline was too brief and that player choice lacked sufficient impact. Going into 2021, Steel Reign concluded the Brotherhood story arc with new locations, gear, and legendary crafting system. While the expansion gave players' decision more weight in shaping the outcome, it struggled with technical issues at launch and left some plot threads, particularly involving super mutants, feeling underdeveloped. Then in 2022 and 2023, we got Expeditions. Expeditions: The Pit, released in September 2022, marked a turning point in Bethesda's strategy, leaning heavily in nostalgia by revisiting beloved locations. Players returned to the industrial ruins of Pittsburgh from Fallout 3's DLC, now dominated by two warring factions, the Union defending their freedom and the Fanatics, a ruthless raider gang. These repeatable story missions offered exclusive rewards, but their repetitive nature and lack of open world exploration disappointed some fans who craved the traditional Fallout experience. Expeditions Atlantic City arrived in two waves: Boardwalk Paradise in December 2023 and America's Playground in March 2024. This took players to the overgrown, partially flooded remains of the East Coast gambling haven. Casino theme, complete with the slot machines, card tables, and roulette wheels tiles for camp decoration clearly nodded to Fallout New Vegas, and players embraced the aesthetic enthusiastically. In 2024, Bethesda then started to expand the map. Skyline Valley was released in June 2024, which delivered what players had been craving, a genuine expansion of the game world. For the first time, the map grew significantly as players crossed the Savage Divide into southern Appalachia, exploring a region inspired by Shenandoah National Park, the very place immortalized in Country Road. The expansion introduced a main quest line centered on Vault 63 and a mysterious storm, along with new enemies called the Lost, legendary weapon, combat updates, and the dangerous pastime event. This wasn't just recycled content, it was now a true expansion, giving the world room to breathe and grow. 2024 and 2025, Bethesda now refining the experience as a whole. The updates kept flowing. September 2024, Milepost 0 was added to let players manage their own caravan outpost, transforming it into a thriving hub. Gleaming Depths was released in December 2024, which introduced challenging new content with highly coveted 4-star legendary gear and the beloved camp pets feature, letting players finally bring furry companions into their bases. Then we get into 2025, which was very much a year of innovation for Fallout 76. This year has pushed Fallout 76 into new territory with updates that fundamentally change how players experience Appalachia. In March 2025, the Ghoul Within expansion was released and made Fallout history by allowing players to transform their characters into ghouls for the first time in the franchise. Tagline said it best, "Isn't smooth skin overrated?" This groundbreaking feature gave players an entirely new way to experience the game, embracing the series' signature radiation-soaked identity. Then in June 2025, we got Gone Fission, which added something surprisingly wholesome to the post-apocalyptic wasteland: fishing. Players can now cast lines and reel into catches throughout every region of Appalachia, adding peaceful counterpoint to the violence and chaos of the wasteland. In September 2025, Camp Revamp was added, which freed the game's creative community by relaxing building restrictions. With fewer limitations on what can be placed in home bases, players can gain unprecedented freedom to design and construct their dream camps, turning settlements into true expressions of personality and imagination. So all of that has been added into Fallout 76 since launch, and it's not going to stop there, as on December 2nd, 2025, Burning Springs will arrive as the game's 25th major update and the second true map expansion. Players will venture into the post-war ruins of southeastern rural Ohio, exploring an entirely new region beyond Appalachia's border. But the real headline here is that the Ghoul from the Fallout TV series is coming to the game. Alton Goggins will reprise his role, offering players bounty hunting missions in what represents genuine, meaningful crossover content between the show and the game. The update will also launch Season 23, Blood and Rust, continuing the game's tradition of quarterly seasonal content. Now the timing here is no coincidence. When Season 1 of the Fallout TV series premiered on Prime in April 2024, it triggered an unprecedented resurgence for the entire franchise. Over 65 million viewers watched within 16 days, and the show earned widespread acclaim as one of the best video game adaptations ever made. The impact on Fallout 76 was immediate. The game hit 72,000 concurrent players on Steam, a new all-time peak, with over 1 million players logging in on one single day. Now with Season 2 of the show arriving in December 2025, Bethesda is ready. Unlike last time when the surge caught them off guard, this time they prepared with actual crossover content that gives new and returning players a reason to jump in. Fallout 76 is the only Fallout game currently receiving new updates and content, making it the sole entry where fans of the show can interact with the characters and stories from the series that they love. The transformation of Fallout 76 from industry punchline to thriving live service game is one of the most remarkable redemption stories in a while. What seemed absolutely impossible in 2018 became a No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk 2077 style comeback, which had become a reality through years of consistent updates, community engagement, and genuine effort to make things right. According to October 2025 interviews with developers Bill Lacoste and Jonathan Rush, the team has definitive plans through patch 72, the symbolic milestone of patch 76, on their radar. Following the standard quarterly release schedule, this roadmap extends through all of 2026 and potentially into summer 2027, which is a very clear message that Fallout 76 isn't slowing down. Bethesda didn't let this game die. They could have cut their losses after the disastrous launch, moved resources elsewhere, and written it off as a failed experiment. Instead, they doubled down, listened to feedback, and rebuilt the experience piece by piece. From the introduction of NPCs in Wastelanders to map expansions like Skyline Valley and Burning Springs, from innovative features like becoming a ghoul to crossover crossover content with the hit TV series, the game has evolved into something its developers can be proud of. The road was long and windy, filled with setbacks and skepticism, but Bethesda stayed the course, and now Fallout 76 stands as proof that even the most troubled launches can be turned around with the dedication and vision. Country Roads, once a reminder of broken promises, has become a genuine anthem of homecoming to a wasteland that's finally worth exploring. And the journey isn't over. With new content planned throughout 2026 and beyond, Fallout 76 is only getting bigger and the wasteland continues to call players home. And guys, it is finally here. The Balboa Club Witch Hunt Collection Volume 1 is now available and will run from December through February, and this drop is specifically inspired by The Witcher, as I wanted to blend the styles of the wrestling world with the games we all know and love. So please go ahead and check out the Balboa Club store. It's on the channel store page, and the website is in the description and pinned comment section below.
Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement.